The resignation letter sat on Diane Walker's desk between us. 2 sentences, my signature, and 7 years of my life reduced to 12-point Times New Roman. "You can't be serious," she said. I was dead serious. But let me back up. You need to understand how I got here. My name is Raymond Hutchinson. Ray to most people. I'm 58 years old, and 3 hours ago I watched a 26-year-old kid get handed the promotion I'd been working toward for 7 years. It was supposed to be a routine Tuesday meeting. Safety updates, project timelines, maybe a surprise bonus if we were lucky. But the second Diane Walker, owner of Summit Construction Group, cleared her throat and said, "I've got some big news today." I felt my gut twist. She stood at the front of the conference room with that fake, humble smile she always used when she was about to screw someone over. The AC hummed overhead, mixing with the smell of burned coffee from the break room. Someone's radio played faintly from the warehouse below. "Starting next month," Diane said, "we're officially naming Ashley Parker as the new Vice President of Development." The room clapped. People actually clapped. I sat there blinking like I hadn't heard her right. Ashley. The 26-year-old who still couldn't read a soil report without calling it. The one who showed up to site inspections in designer jeans and complained about the dust. For 7 years I'd been running Summit's field operations. Site evaluations, union negotiations, contractor disputes, OSHA compliance, all of it. I was the one chasing down EPA clearances while Ashley was still in business school. 3 months ago, Diane introduced her as a market analyst who was here to learn the ropes. I clapped then too. Now here we were again. Diane kept talking, beaming at Ashley like a proud aunt. And I want to especially thank Ray for all his help getting her up to speed. I felt heat rush to my face, the kind that starts in your chest and shoots up your neck. My hand stopped mid-clap and fell into my lap. I looked down at my palms, calluses from 20 years of field work, a scar across my thumb from a rebar cut in Tucson. Next to me, Ashley's hands were smooth, manicured nails tapping against her leather portfolio. She gave this awkward half-wave like she knew she didn't deserve it. She was trying to act humble, but the smirk under her eyes gave her away. Diane went on about vision and growth and fresh leadership while I stared at the table. 7 years. 7 years of late nights, canceled weekends, hauling myself to city council meetings to get projects greenlit. 7 years thinking it was all building to something. It wasn't. This was the play all along. I was the mule, the babysitter, the stepping stone, and now that it was done, they expected me to smile and keep clapping. I walked straight out as soon as the meeting ended. Back at my desk, my phone buzzed. Text from Lucas, my son. "Dad, when you coming home? It's almost 9. 9 p.m. Again. I looked at the clock. He was right. I typed back, "Soon. Promise." He sent back a thumbs up. Kid was 19, pre-med at ASU, and he'd learned not to expect much. Not since his mom died 8 years ago. Sarah's cancer took her fast. 10 months from diagnosis to funeral. Left me and Lucas with medical bills I was still paying off, a mortgage, and a life that felt like it had the foundation kicked out from under it. I threw myself into work after that. Easier than sitting in an empty house remembering what I'd lost. Lucas understood, or at least he pretended to. But I knew he noticed the missed dinners, the forgotten birthdays, the weekends I promised we'd do something and then got called to fix another contractor disaster. Work was supposed to be worth it. That was the deal I made with myself. Sacrifice now, stability later. Save enough to cover Lucas's medical school, retire at 65 with a full 401k, maybe even take a vacation that wasn't just driving to a job site in another state. But now, staring at my computer screen, all I could see was 7 years going up in smoke. I opened Word and typed 3 lines. Effective 2 weeks from today, I resign from my position at Summit Construction Group. Raymond Hutchinson. Printed it, signed it, walked it straight to Diane's office. She was still grinning when I knocked. "Hey, Ray, just in time. I'm resigning." I dropped the letter on her desk. Effective 2 weeks from today. Her smile twitched, froze, then dropped. Wait, what?" She picked up the letter like she couldn't read English. "You're serious?" "Already sent it to HR. You'll get the official copy soon." She stood up, palms out like she was calming down a hostage. "Okay, let's not make any fast moves here. I know the promotion caught you off guard, but there's more to come. This isn't the end of your growth here." I just stared at her. Through the window behind her desk, I could see the yard. Pallets of rebar, a crane sitting idle, concrete mixers covered in dust. The smell of diesel drifted up even through the closed window. "You've built something here, Ray," she said, starting to sweat. "Your reputation means something. And I know you've got responsibilities. A son in college, a house, bills. Let's be honest, jumping ship right now? Not smart." There it was. The guilt trip. "I'm aware of my finances," I said, "and I'm not jumping anywhere. I'm walking calmly." Diane stepped around the desk. "Look, how about this? We create a new title for you. Senior Director of Site Operations. Same pay, maybe a bump in 6 months. You'd report to Ashley, sure, but you'd have full oversight of—" "No." She blinked. "Just like that? Just like that." She sat back down slower this time. "If you leave like this, I can't promise glowing references. You've built your whole network under my firm. It wouldn't look good." I tilted my head. "You threatening me?" She held up her hands. "I'm trying to protect you from burning a bridge. I'm not burning anything. I'm just leaving." We sat there in silence. Finally, she leaned forward. "You trained her. She still needs you." I smiled. "I'll finish out my 2 weeks. I'll even make sure Ashley doesn't crash the Tucson project. But after that, you're on your own." Her jaw clenched. She looked like she wanted to throw something. I walked out and closed the door behind me. Didn't slam it, didn't look back, just went straight to my truck and sat there in the parking lot for 10 minutes, hands on the wheel, staring at nothing. Then I drove home. Lucas was asleep on the couch, textbook open on his chest, organic chemistry. I covered him with a blanket and went to my room. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept doing the math. Medical school costs $60,000 a year. I had maybe 4 months of savings if I stretched it. The mortgage was $2,200 a month. Insurance through Cobra would eat another $800. I couldn't afford to be unemployed. But I also couldn't afford to stay. Around 3 a.m., I finally fell asleep thinking about how the hell I was going to explain this to my son. The thing about betrayal is you usually see it coming. You just don't want to believe it. 6 months before that Tuesday meeting, I should have known. That's when Ashley Parker first walked through Summit's doors. Diane stopped me in the hallway, that casual tone she used when she was about to ask for something. "Hey Ray, heads up. My niece is starting next week, fresh out of business school. Just wants to see how things run. She'll be shadowing you a bit." I said sure. Figured it'd be some intern with a clipboard, maybe last 3 weeks before deciding construction wasn't glamorous enough. Instead, in walks Ashley. Designer jeans that probably cost more than my work boots, spotless white blouse, smelling like expensive perfume. She offered me a handshake with those smooth, manicured fingers and said, "You must be Ray. I've heard you're the operations guru around here." That grin wasn't respectful. It was performative, like she already knew where this was headed. I didn't think much of it then. I'd seen plenty of kids bounce in and out of this industry. Most of them lasted until their first 110-degree day on a job site or their first union negotiation, where a shop steward told them exactly what they could do with their fresh ideas. But Ashley kept showing up. Every site visit, every safety meeting, every call with city officials. I'd walk into a contractor review, and there she'd be, chair pulled up next to mine, spinning a pen between her fingers. I trained her without realizing I was building my own replacement. Showed her how to read structural drawings, navigate OSHA paperwork, handle permits. Once, she screwed up a crane inspection log, forgot to initial the weight capacity verification. Could have shut down the whole Mesa project. I caught it, fixed it quietly, figured everyone makes mistakes. 2 weeks before the promotion announcement, I should have seen it coming. It was Thursday night, almost 9 p.m. Office quiet except for the janitor's cart rattling down the hall and the hum of fluorescent lights. I was at my desk checking safety protocols for a hospital expansion in Tucson. We'd had a near-miss incident the week before, a scaffold connection Ashley had signed off on without actually inspecting it. A welder noticed it was loose, reported it, could have killed someone. I'd spent 3 hours that afternoon retraining her on load-bearing requirements, watching her nod along like she understood. But her notes were scattered, incomplete. "Can't we just have the site supervisor handle this stuff?" she'd asked. "You are going to be the supervisor," I'd told her. "This is your job." Now, sitting at my desk, I heard voices from Diane's office. Her door was cracked open. Not enough to see inside, but enough to hear. Still no word on that VP position? A man's voice. Victor Brennan, one of Summit's senior investors. Pause. Then Diane's laugh, low and smug. Ray's reliable, but he doesn't have executive presence. I froze. My hand stopped halfway to my coffee cup. Ray's the one who's kept your projects from collapsing, Victor said. He's good in the field, Diane replied. But Ashley's got the MBA. She understands where the market's going. And she's family. Family. There it was. I stood up slowly, careful not to make the chair creak. Walked to the window and stared out at the yard. The crane sat dark against the night sky, skeletal and still. Somewhere a dog barked. My reflection stared back at me from the glass, and for the first time in 7 years, I looked old. Not tired. Old. They never considered me. Not once. This wasn't about who kept projects on schedule, who handled the union reps and city inspectors and contractors who tried to cut corners. This was about bloodline and optics. I was the workhorse. Ashley was the heir. I left the office without turning off my computer, drove home through empty streets, got in at 10:30. Lucas was still up, studying at the kitchen table. "You okay?" he asked, looking up from his textbook. "Yeah, long day." He studied my face. Kid had his mother's eyes, sharp and perceptive. "You sure?" I opened the fridge, stared at leftover pizza I didn't want. "How's organic chemistry?" "Kicking my ass." He closed his book. "Dad, seriously, what's wrong?" I sat down across from him. Wanted to tell him everything. That I'd just realized 7 years meant nothing. That his medical school tuition was riding on a job I was about to quit. That I had no idea what came next. Instead, I said, just thinking about some changes at work. Nothing to worry about. He didn't believe me. But he nodded anyway, went back to his textbook. I went to my room and opened my laptop. Started searching. Construction management positions, Arizona, infrastructure firms, Phoenix Metro. Sent my resume to 3 companies before midnight. One of them was Brennan Infrastructure Partners. Monday morning came too fast. I walked into Summit like always, coffee in one hand, badge on my hip. Ashley was already at my desk, or trying to be. 3 monitors pulled up, 2 legal pads covered in messy notes, and a face that looked like she hadn't slept. "Ray," she said, voice tight, "do you have a second? Something's wrong with the Glendale permits." I looked over her shoulder. Spreadsheets, budget reports, timeline projections. A red cell blinking in the corner. "That's the federal compliance deadline for Mesa," I said. "Not Glendale." "Wait, what?" She clicked through tabs, but the contractor said, "That was due Friday. You missed it." Her face went pale. "How much is the penalty?" $50,000. Plus it kicks the project back 2 weeks for resubmission. Jesus. She dragged both hands through her hair. "Can we fix it?" I pulled up a chair, spent the next 40 minutes walking her through the resubmission process, found the original permit application, corrected her drainage specifications, called the city office to beg for an extension. By the time I finished, it was almost noon. My phone had 4 missed calls, all from clients. Alan Morrison from the hospital project. "Ray, I just got an email from Ashley. She wants to change our timeline. What the hell is going on?" Chief engineer from Flagstaff. "We need someone who knows what they're doing. No offense to your replacement, but we're not teaching her on a $40 million build." Superintendent from the highway expansion Ashley called asking about concrete pour schedules. She doesn't even know what a slump test is. I called them back one by one. Kept my voice calm, professional. "I'm finishing out this week and next. After that, you'll need to work directly with Ashley and the project managers." Every single one of them went quiet. Then variations of the same response. "So you're really leaving?" By 3 p.m., Diane's assistant appeared at my desk. "She wants to see you." I knew what was coming. Took my time walking down the hall. Diane's office door was open, but she closed it hard the second I stepped inside. Ashley sat in one of the chairs, hunched forward, hands clasped. Diane stood by the window, arms crossed. Didn't offer me a seat. "I've been getting calls," she said, voice sharp. "Clients saying they're confused, that you're telling them you're leaving. I'm not telling them anything they don't already know." She turned. "You're poisoning the pipeline. Taking my clients. Your clients are calling me because they're worried. They've worked with me for 7 years. You handed them to Ashley with no transition and expected blind loyalty. This is theft, Ray. I raised an eyebrow. There's no non-compete in my contract, no NDA. Everything I've discussed with clients is about their projects, nothing proprietary. Ashley cleared her throat. Diane snapped, "Stay out of it." I stayed standing. I've made no promises to anyone. Haven't solicited a single contract. But if clients decide to leave after I'm gone, that's on you. Diane leaned both hands on her desk. You think you're irreplaceable? No. I think I'm trusted. That's different. Silence hung between us like concrete dust. Finally, I looked at Ashley. You need to learn the permit pipeline inside and out, not just deadlines, but why they matter, and stop relying on site supers to cover your mistakes. They expect you to know this already. Ashley nodded, barely looking up. I walked out without waiting for a response. Outside, the afternoon sun hit the parking lot like a hammer. Heat waves rose off the asphalt. I stood there for a minute, watching a cement truck rumble past, thinking about what came next. My phone buzzed. Email notification. Gregory Brennan, Brennan Infrastructure Partners. Ray, got your resume? Let's talk. Tomorrow, 2 p.m.? I hit reply. I'll be there. Brennan Infrastructure Partners sat on the 14th floor of a glass building in downtown Phoenix. The kind of place where the elevators didn't rattle and the coffee didn't taste like it came from a machine that hadn't been cleaned since 2015. Gregory Brennan was waiting when I stepped off. Gray suit, work boots that had actually seen a job site, and that no-nonsense energy some guys never lose no matter how many zeros end up in their bank account. Ray, he said, shaking my hand like we were sealing something. Took you long enough. I'd met Greg twice before at industry conferences. Once in Albuquerque, once in Las Vegas. Both times we'd ended up at the hotel bar talking about the sorry state of project management and how many firms were run by people who'd never touched a shovel. Had to finish a few things first, I said. He led me into a corner office. Windows on two sides, whiteboard covered in site maps, the smell of fresh coffee that actually smelled like coffee. Below us, the city stretched out in all directions, heat shimmering off rooftops. I won't waste your time, Greg said, sitting on the edge of his desk. We've wanted you here for over a year. You've got the network, the experience, and more importantly, people trust you. He slid a folder across the desk. I opened it. Position, Vice President of Operations. Salary, $180,000 plus performance incentives and equity stake after year 1. Start date, 3 weeks. I stared at the number. It was $60,000 more than Summit had ever paid me. 33% increase for doing the same work I'd been doing, just without the nepotism and the bullshit. This isn't charity, Greg said. You bring value, city connections we don't have, contractors who will pick up when you call, clients who know your word means something. We're not just hiring you, we're hiring 2 decades of reputation. I looked up at him. What's the catch? No catch. But I need to know you're serious. Summit's going to try to keep you. Diane's not stupid. She knows what she's losing. Already resigned. 2 weeks' notice, already submitted. Greg smiled. Then we've got 3 projects waiting. Hospital expansion in Scottsdale, highway overpass in Tucson, commercial build in Albuquerque. I want you leading the Arizona operations by next month. I thought about Lucas. Medical school applications were due in 6 months. $60,000 a year, 4 years. I'd been trying to figure out how to make that math work on Summit's salary. This made it possible. I'm in, I said. We shook on it. Greg walked me back toward the elevator, and as we passed a glass-walled conference room, I spotted something on their project board, a site map I recognized. The casino development outside Tempe that I'd pitched to Diane 8 months ago. She'd passed on it, said the zoning was too complicated. Greg caught me looking. Yeah, we picked that up after Summit dropped it. Zoning cleared last month. Breaking ground in 6 weeks. Of course they did. As the elevator doors opened, Greg said, "Don't be surprised when your old clients start calling. Word travels fast in this industry." I nodded, didn't smile, just stepped into the elevator and watched the doors close. On the drive back, my phone rang. Lucas. Hey Dad, you free for lunch? I checked the time. 3:30. Already past lunch, but yeah. Where are you? Campus. But I can meet you somewhere. 20 minutes later, we were sitting in a diner off University, the kind of place with cracked vinyl booths and a waitress who called everyone honey. Lucas ordered a burger. I got coffee I didn't need. So, he said, dumping ketchup on his fries. You going to tell me what's going on? Or do I have to guess? I'd forgotten how much he looked like Sarah when he was being serious. Same expression, eyebrows drawn together, mouth set in that line that meant he wasn't accepting bullshit answers. I quit my job, I said. He stopped mid-fry. What? Put in my notice yesterday. Last day's next Friday. Jesus, Dad. Why? I told him. Not all of it, but enough. The promotion that went to someone else. 7 years meaning nothing. The decision to walk away instead of staying bitter. Lucas listened without interrupting, which meant he was processing, thinking it through like he did with his chemistry problems. Finally, he said, What about money? My tuition? Got a new job. Better pay. Starts in 3 weeks. His shoulders dropped, relief visible. Okay. That's good. That's really good. He ate a fry, then looked up. You should have told me sooner. I thought something was seriously wrong, didn't want you to worry. I'm 19, not 9. I can handle it. He paused. Mom would have told you to leave years ago. That hit harder than I expected, because he was right. Sarah had always been better at knowing when to walk away from things that weren't working. Jobs, friendships, her own father when he wouldn't stop drinking. She had a sense for when loyalty turned into stupidity. Yeah, I said. She would have. We finished eating. Lucas insisted on paying, which made me feel both proud and old. As we walked to our cars, he said, I'm proud of you, for what it's worth. I nodded, didn't trust myself to say anything back. The next week was strange. I showed up at Summit every day, finished out my projects, answered Ashley's endless questions. She'd come to my desk 3-4 times a day with problems that shouldn't have been problems. The Tucson contractor is asking about rebar specifications. Check the structural drawings, page 14. The city inspector wants updated safety protocols. They're in the shared drive folder marked OSHA compliance. The union rep called about scheduling conflicts. Call him back. That's your job now. By Thursday, the office felt different. People were quieter around me. A few came by to say they were sorry I was leaving. One of the senior project managers, a guy named Phil, who'd been there longer than me, pulled me aside. You're making the right call, he said, voice low. This place is going downhill fast. Friday afternoon, my last day, Diane didn't come out of her office. No goodbye, no handshake, nothing. Just a form email from HR thanking me for my service. Ashley stopped by my desk around 4. I know this is weird, she said, but thank you for training me, for not making it harder than it had to be. I looked at her. She seemed genuine, which somehow made it worse. You've got the title now, I said, but you don't have the respect yet. That takes time. Years, not months. You earn it by showing up when things go wrong, by knowing more than everyone else in the room, by proving you give a damn about the people doing the actual work. She nodded. I'll try. Trying isn't enough. You either do it or you don't. I packed my desk into a cardboard box. 20 years of construction management fit into one box. Safety manuals, a coffee mug Lucas gave me for Father's Day, a photo of Sarah from before she got sick. I walked out at 5 p.m. exactly. Didn't look back. 3 weeks later, I started at Brennan. The office was smaller, the team tighter, the expectations higher. Greg didn't believe in hand-holding. He gave me 3 projects and said, don't fuck them up. I didn't. 8 months later, I had 3 major projects running. Hospital expansion in Scottsdale, ahead of schedule and under budget. Highway overpass in Tucson, passing every inspection on the first try. Commercial build in Albuquerque. Client so happy they'd already signed for phase 2. Brennan didn't micromanage. Greg cleared the runway and let me fly. When I said we needed to hire 2 more site supervisors, he approved it. When I pushed back on a contractor trying to use substandard materials, he backed me up. It felt like working at full capacity for the first time in years. Contractors picked up when I called. City inspectors knew my name. Union reps trusted my word. I wasn't fighting for respect anymore. I had it. I was reviewing structural plans for a 4th project when Greg walked in holding a rolled-up magazine. Thought you'd want to see this, he said, dropping it on my desk. Southwest Construction Weekly. Every major firm in the region read it. The headline made me stop breathing for a second. Summit Construction faces federal probe after safety disaster. Below it, a photo of Ashley at a press conference. Sweat on her collar, eyes wide, mouth half open like she'd been caught mid-excuse. Behind her, Diane looked 10 years older than I remembered. I didn't want to read it, but I did. The article laid it out in brutal detail. Major injury incident at the Mesa Hospital project. A worker had fallen 3 stories when scaffolding collapsed. Multiple OSHA violations. The investigation found Ashley had signed off on the scaffold inspection without actually verifying the load ratings. Same thing I'd caught her doing 8 months ago, except this time I wasn't there to fix it. The worker survived but would never work construction again. Shattered pelvis, broken back, permanent nerve damage, federal fines, $2 million, project delays, $8 million in losses, criminal negligence charges pending. The board had forced Diane out. Ashley resigned the day after the press conference. The firm was hemorrhaging clients, bleeding money, circling the drain. I read it twice, then set the magazine down. Greg sat across from me, arms folded. They said you were just operational. A field guy. They did. Turns out you were the foundation. I nodded once. Didn't feel like celebrating. Someone had gotten hurt because Ashley didn't know what she was doing, and Diane was too proud to admit she'd made a mistake. The next day, my phone started buzzing. 4 messages before lunch. Phil, the senior project manager from Summit. Ray, are you hiring? This place is done. 2 contractors I'd worked with for years. Heard you're at Brennan now. We'd like to talk about moving our contracts. A client from the Flagstaff build. We're pulling out of Summit. Can Brennan handle highway work? I forwarded them all to Greg. He grinned when he saw the list. You didn't burn the bridge, he said. You just made everyone realize which side was stable. By the end of the month, we'd hired 2 Summit refugees. Good people who saw the writing on the wall. 3 clients followed me over, bringing $60 million in contracts with them. I didn't gloat, didn't call Diane or send a smug email, just kept working. But late at night, alone in my office, I'd think about that worker in Mesa, about how it could have been prevented, about how loyalty to the wrong place almost cost someone their life. Lucas called one evening while I was finishing up paperwork. Dad, you see the news about Summit? Yeah. Saw it. That's crazy. That could have been you dealing with that mess. It was me dealing with those messes. For 7 years. That's why I left. Pause. Then, I'm really glad you did. Me too. Hey, I got my MCAT scores back. 5 on 17. I had no idea if that was good, but his voice told me it was. That's great. Really great. Yeah. Should be enough for most programs. He hesitated. I know med school's expensive, but with your new job we can make it work, right? We'll make it work. Don't worry about that. Just focus on your applications. After we hung up, I sat there for a while thinking about Sarah, about how she'd always said the hardest part of being a parent was knowing when to hold on and when to let go, when to sacrifice and when to walk away. I'd held on to Summit for 7 years thinking it was the responsible thing to do. Turned out walking away was the better choice all along. 3 weeks later, I was driving back from a site visit in Glendale. Long day, hadn't eaten since breakfast, head pounding. I pulled off the freeway and ended up at a diner I used to hit when I ran city meetings out this way. Same flickering neon sign, same cracked vinyl booths. I slid into one near the back and ordered coffee and eggs. Then I saw her, Ashley Parker. 2 booths over, hunched over blueprints and textbooks. Pencil behind her ear, work boots on, actual work boots, not the designer kind. No fancy clothes. Just her and a legal pad covered in notes. I watched for a second, then got up and walked over. She looked up, startled. Face went red. Ray. Hey. I didn't expect to see me? She gave a weak smile. Something like that. I nodded at the mess on her table. What's all this? Night classes? Construction management? Started a month ago. She gestured at her boots. Working days as a junior coordinator at a small firm in Tempe, learning from the ground up this time, learning the stuff you thought you could skip? She didn't laugh, just nodded. Yeah. Turns out there's a lot I didn't know. I thought the MBA was enough, thought I could figure it out as I went. Her voice cracked slightly. Someone got hurt because I didn't know what I was doing. I know. I think about him every day. Miguel Vasquez, 43 years old, 3 kids. He'll never work again because I was too proud to admit I was in over my head. We sat in silence for a moment. The diner's AC rattled. Someone dropped silverware in the kitchen. Thanks for not making it worse, she said finally. You could have sabotaged me during those 2 weeks. Could have set me up to fail. But you didn't. Wasn't my job to ruin you. Wasn't my job to save you either. I get that now. She looked down at her textbook. My aunt won't talk to me. Says I embarrassed the family. Cost her everything. I didn't say anything to that. Wasn't my place. She tapped her notebook. I'm doing it right this time. Learning load calculations, soil mechanics, safety protocols, all of it, the stuff you tried to teach me. I looked at her notes. Real formulas, real specs, actual work. Everyone deserves a second chance, I said, but not everyone deserves to start at the top. She nodded. I'm starting at the bottom now, where I should have started. I tapped the table twice and stood up. Keep at it. It'll take years, but it'll stick. Ray? She looked up. For what it's worth, you were right about everything, and I'm sorry. I nodded once, then headed to the counter. Paid both our tabs on the way out. Just before I hit the door, I turned back. That worker, Miguel. You should visit him. Apologize in person. Won't fix what happened, but it's the right thing to do. She looked like she might cry. Yeah, I will. I stepped out into the Arizona heat, sun setting over the mountains, sky turning orange and purple. I slid on my sunglasses and walked to my truck. My phone buzzed. Text from Lucas. Got my first acceptance letter. University of Arizona College of Medicine. Full interview next month. I stood there in the parking lot reading it 3 times. Then I called him. Dad, just wanted to say I'm proud of you. Really proud. Thanks. Means a lot. I could hear the smile in his voice. Hey, when you get home, let's go out to dinner. Celebrate. Yeah, let's do that. I drove home through evening traffic, windows down, radio off. Just the sound of the city and the engine, and my own thoughts. 7 years at Summit, I'd thought I was building something. Turned out I was just holding someone else's place. But these last 8 months at Brennan, with Lucas thriving, with clients trusting me, with work that actually mattered, this was what building felt like. Not standing still, not waiting for permission, just moving forward. I pulled into my driveway as the last light faded from the sky. Lucas's car was already there, porch light on. I sat in the truck for a moment, looking at the house. Our house. The one I'd almost lost trying to prove loyalty to people who never valued it. Then I grabbed my briefcase and went inside. Lucas was in the kitchen, already pulling out menus. Thai or Italian? Your choice, I said. He grinned. Thai. Definitely Thai. We ordered too much food, ate at the kitchen table, talked about his interviews and my projects and what came next. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about what I'd lost. I was thinking about what I'd built, and it was enough.